Hello, hello. I just thought I would get on and answer a few questions that I always get asked. We are full-time travelers, my family, my husband and I, and we have 4 kids. We travel full-time. Like since January, we have been to 16 countries, and I think we're at 21 states so far. That's just within the last 9-10 months. So we are always on the go. So I get asked 2 questions all the time. How in the world can we afford this? We must be millionaires. And then 2, where do we stay as we travel? So first question, how do we afford this? Okay, so currently we do not own a home. When we were raising our kids in Phoenix for 8 years, we had 2 homes. When we rented out, we owned another one and lived in that one. We had mortgage, everyday living, right? Then we moved to New Zealand and we rented a home there for 2 years. And then when we started to travel full time, we are not tied down to a mortgage and to a rent. We are nomads, as people would say, vagabonds, nomads, we're homeless. So we can afford it because we don't have a mortgage. We don't have to pay electricity, internet, garbage, all those normal utility things you'd have to pay if you were either owning a home or renting a home. So we don't have to pay those things. Those things come with wherever we're staying. So that's also another way that we can afford it. And then we still work. We do not just travel and have fun 24/7. It is a different type of lifestyle. My husband still has a job. He works remotely for a power utility company, so he can work anywhere in the world as long as he has an internet connection. And then I work remotely too with my business. It's all online. So my mascara business and my brand, I can do it if I have a computer and internet connection. So, we're going to all these cool places, but we're still working. We are not out touring and vacationing and seeing and doing all the things that people think we're doing. We just do that, half the time maybe, and other times we have a lot of times that we just stay indoors and hunker down, work, rest, be together as a family. So that's how we afford to travel full time. Now, where do we stay when we travel? So as soon as we got back to the States, we have stayed with family for the first couple months. We hadn't seen our family for a few years. So we stayed with a lot of family for those first couple of months. But other than that, we either stay in Airbnbs. We use homeaway.com or vrbo.com or priceline.com or booking.com. Any of those places are great ways to find a pretty inexpensive, affordable place to stay as we travel. Now, my favorite place to stay as we travel, my favorite platform to find affordable homes. Hello, for those of you who are joining. My favorite place to stay or to look when I want to stay in a home is airbnb.com. That's my favorite. We have stayed in many Airbnbs. And it's just a nice way to still feel like you have a home, even though we don't have a home. I really do not like staying in hotel rooms. It's uncomfortable with a family of 6. And when we are traveling with almost everything that we own. So our car is pretty packed. And so when we have to stay in a hotel, it's not fun to unpack and load it all in with my whole family and everything. It's not comfortable. So I prefer to do a home wherever we go. We're usually in a location for we like to stay at least a week because it just gets to be too much packing, unpacking. It's too, a lot of, just you're not grounded when you're on the go so much. So we like to stay about a week to 2 weeks in place. So Airbnb is my favorite, and we've stayed in them all over the world. But I've had a pretty couple, Airbnb is not perfect. It's a great option, but it's not not perfection. We've had some pretty crazy things happen as we've been in Airbnbs around the world. We were in Thailand and it was a really nice home. We loved the home, but I got there. My first thing is I have to check out the kitchen to see is it fully stocked? What do I have to work with? How can I feed my family while we're in that place for a while. So I get into the kitchen in Thailand, and there's no oven, which a lot of places actually don't have ovens. That's fine, but it did have a stove, but it didn't have gas like connected to the stove. It was like totally bare. And then it didn't have any pots, any pans, nothing to cook with. It did have a microwave. And so I'm thinking, we're gonna be here for 2 weeks. How in the world am I gonna feed my family for 2 weeks on just a microwave? And Thailand doesn't have a lot of convenient food. I couldn't cook even rice. So, that was very stressful. So we contacted our host. Sometimes they're local, sometimes they're not. Luckily, this guy was local. And we complained, we said, hey, we are a family and we need to have some way to feed our family. Why would we stay in a home, if we're not gonna use the kitchen? So he did come over, he gave us gas, he gave us a pot and a pan. So we had a pot and a pan. You just take those things for granted when you're traveling. And when you have a home and you have a fully stocked kitchen, you really take it for granted, because many times, almost every single place we've stayed at is missing some crucial kitchen item. So sometimes you never know what you're gonna get. And when we were in Bali one time, we had no hot water in the kitchen. Absolutely no hot water, no dishwasher, no hot water. So I had to boil all of our water in order to keep our dishes clean and sanitized, which is just crazy. But another crazy Airbnb story that just happened recently. So we've been to, 20, 30, maybe even 40 Airbnbs home over the last few years. But this last like a week or two ago, we were in New York City and we were planning on staying there for 2 weeks. It was great. We hadn't stayed at a place for 2 weeks in a really, really long time. So we were looking forward to hunkering down, just enjoying our time. So we stayed outside of New York in Brooklyn, which is a little bit not my favorite place to stay. But we were there for 10 days when my husband discovered a hidden camera. We were just like, what? So we got online really fast to check the listing to make sure it was disclosed and that wasn't something that we had known about. And we looked at the listing and it did say that it had a caretaker and a security camera on the property. But when my husband booked the place, he thought that was oh, cool, an outside security camera. You don't really think that you have a security camera inside watching you. So we contacted Airbnb. They were really great. They let us leave as soon as possible. So we packed up and left that very next morning, because it had this camera had audio, it had 360 view. It was in the hallway with the view of the kitchen, the entry, and right over a bathroom door, which my kids accidentally walked in on me a couple times. So they would have had full view of all that. So it just was a crazy situation. So, I love Airbnb, but it's not perfect. There's always a little something. We just have to learn as we travel to be adaptable, to be flexible, because sometimes you just never know what you're gonna get. And sometimes you just gotta work with what you have. So those are some crazy Airbnb stories that we've had, but that is how we afford traveling, and that is where we stay as we travel. We just have to make wherever we are feel like home. So actually on my blog, I did just post some ways how we make a place feel like home as we're traveling, because we don't have a home. So how can we make these places feel like home? So go check out my blog and read that article so you can get some ideas as you travel, not full time, but as you travel with your family here and there, how you can make wherever you're staying feel like home, even though you are away from home. So if you have any other questions about the logistics of our crazy traveling full-time life, let me know, because I would love to answer them. But that's how we rock and roll, and that's how we survive. So I hope you all have a great day, and I will chat with you later.